I'm Chris Roberts from Me Mother 4-Wheel Drive Products. I'm quite often asked about how to use my winch, how do I safely do a 4-wheel drive recovery, and what sort of situations will I find myself in. So I'm going to run you through some basic recovery procedures and some ways that these winches work. So the thing to remember with the 4-wheel drive recovery winch is that the rating of that winch is rated on your first layer. So a 9,500 pound winch is rated on the first layer of that drum. So if you're doing a recovery and your anchor point is only 5 meters away, you're only going to be pulling out about 5 meters of cable, which means you're going to have around 4 cable layers on that drum, and your winch capacity is considerably less. So you need to consider how much weight you've got in your vehicle and what you're going to be recovering, how far stuck you are, how deep your vehicle is in, what sort of ground you're on. In some situations, if your anchor point is only 5 meters away, it might be necessary to do a double or triple line pull to increase the capacity of your winch by using a snatch block, but also getting more cable out of your spool. The first layer of your drum is going to be your maximum pulling capacity, but at your lowest speed. The more cable you get onto your spool, the less capacity, the less pulling power this winch is going to have, but the winch is going to operate at a much faster speed. So you've got the winch installed in your 4-wheel drive. It's important that you learn how to use it. There's a lot of accessories that enhance the performance of your winch, and some of the things that you could certainly buy and consider buying are snatch blocks, tree trunk protectors, winch extension cables, and recovery dampeners. I'll just run you through some basic reasons why you'll need those accessories to enhance the performance of your winch. A tree trunk protector is used to, first and foremost, protect the environment, protect the tree, but also will stop you from bringing the cable back around onto itself and damaging the winch cable. A winch extension strap is used when the cable supplied on the winch is not long enough to reach your anchor point. In this situation, using a winch extension strap to extend the length out to your anchor point is going to be important to use. Using a snatch block in a recovery is going to halve the capacity on the winch. A snatch block is important if you're carrying a heavy load or you're stuck quite deep. It can mean the difference of getting home at 5 o'clock or getting home at 10 o'clock. It's a vital piece of equipment to have in your 4-wheel drive. The recovery dampener is an extremely important piece of safety equipment in a winch. If that wire cable snaps, it becomes an extremely dangerous situation. That cable is going to twing back at an extremely high rate of knots. If you dampen the load with the use of a good quality dampener, it's going to reduce the risk of injury of yourself, reduce the risk of damaging your vehicle, and keep the bystanders safe. When performing a recovery, create a safety zone. Make sure all your bystanders and family are outside of that safety zone. The use of hand signals is going to help in a recovery to let people know when the winch is under load and what you're doing and what the operator who has a responsibility is doing in controlling this device. No recovery kit is complete without a good set of leather gloves. When handling wire rope, always use hand protection to eliminate the possibility of cuts from burrs or splinters in that wire cable. Before every use of the winch, inspect the cable for loose burrs, strands, or any damage. If there's any signs of damage on that wire rope or synthetic rope, replace it immediately. Remembering, winches operate at high capacities and exert a lot of forces onto those cables. When extending your winch to your anchor point, never run the rope around your anchor point and hook it back onto itself. This creates excessive force onto the wire cable, and you run the risk of damaging the cable with possible causes of breakage, plus also potentially damaging the environment. So when resetting your winch, make sure when you're pulling the cable back in, keep your fingers, loose clothing, and any other articles clear of the roller fair lead. So if you find your anchor point is a long way away from your winch, you're going to need to use a lot of wire cable. It's important to remember you need to keep at least a minimum of 5 turns of wire cable on your drum, because those turns on your drum is what generates the strength to be able to pull your winch forward. Wire cable is held onto your drum using a very tiny bolt. That is not a load rated bolt and will not hold any force. Anyone new to 4-wheel driving, I recommend speak to your local 4-wheel drive club or complete some 4-wheel drive training. I'm Chris Roberts from Me Mother 4-Wheel Drive. Thanks for listening.